Yeah.
They are being electronically monitored. They are being electronically monitored just like anyone else who's being released. So the question is, can we actually track these people, and how much money is it costing us as a society to continue?
What do you think $15 an hour would do to these fast food workers' employment?
I think it would allow them to actually be able to buy meat for their own families and be able to feed themselves and their loved ones. That's what we're seeing right now. I mean, this argument really doesn't make much sense to me when you're talking about, okay, the price of meat is going up. People are paying more at the grocery store, but let's not pay wages that are commensurate to the cost of living. That creates an entire class of people who are more and more on the poverty line. It disincentivizes people from working, because if you're working 2 minimum wage jobs and you still can't even feed your family, and you're increasing the number of hungry children in this country.
So, Jessica, are you disputing the CBO that says if you raise the minimum wage, jobs will flee?
Yeah, I mean, there are many different studies that are talking about whether or not people will be hiring less, how it will be affect. I mean, the main problem here is a general economic one. You know, yeah, there's competition for jobs. Absolutely. A lot of that competition, and not just in fast food restaurants, are illegal immigrants, by the way. People need to be able to feed themselves. You can't call a living wage.
You're just making emotional arguments. Let me just clarify.
That is absolutely, it is absolutely not enough.
You know, innocent mistakes, where do they stop and truly incompetence starts?
Well, I think we're seeing a level of incompetence that is really disturbing and upsetting. So, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And these are systemic issues. And that's what they really need to root out. Because as you said, you know, similar to the VA, we're talking about decades of incompetence and cover-ups and things going on here. They've got to get to the heart of the matter. You can't just fire someone and expect these things to be corrected, because, you know, you chop off the head of the beast and more grows back, and you haven't really dealt with this systemic issue. And my concern is here, that's what needs to happen, is how did this information that's so secret, that's so important and vital to our security, the security of the folks who are in Kabul, get through all these different levels? I mean, yeah, everyone's like, oh, gee, that shouldn't have happened. Well, you're right, it shouldn't have happened. And there are so many different levels. I'm sure Mark knows also, when you're working in intelligence and counterterrorism efforts, all of these agencies, all of these folks who, especially after 9/11, have to work together.
They are being told that they have nothing to offer these graduating students.
I don't think that's really the argument that some of the students and protesters are making. I think it's more that they're sort of, you know, complaining in general about what these women represent in terms of their work product, which is definitely a different argument. And it's really, I think, a tempest in a teapot in terms of what's going on in the national discussion. But it is, I think, good in a way to have sort of these liberal arts colleges engaging in discussion, having students protest. I mean, I don't think that the speakers should necessarily be withdrawing, but I think the discussion needs to be happening. I think Christine Lagarde is just a very busy woman.
Well, especially when natural gas is $4.
One of the big problems is government contracting, and these, you know, this is the process. It's a very, very opaque process of the way that money gets spent. And particularly, I think, you know, this New Jersey company is an interesting example, because they clearly can't even move forward with it. They're using this sort of grant as an example to take back to the state of New Jersey. Now, I don't know if it's actually Chinese-backed. I haven't read that anywhere. I mean, the chairman and the founder is named Dan Cohen. Sounds like an American guy to me.
Yeah, well, right? You might have something there.
I mean, so, you know, that's a totally, when you're getting into, you know, foreign investment,
she just wanted some money. I mean, is she going to be demeaned again?
I don't think this is actually relevant as we go forward into 2016, because it really has no bearing on the ability of Hillary Clinton to be a national leader and whether she can lead our nation. And she's already proven that she has the qualifications to do that. You can continue to focus on the polling, but I'm out there talking to people and constituents and folks all the time.
Polling is people and their real stories, and you see real stories about this hurting people every day.
Continuously that are out on both sides. And what really needs to happen, especially with the House of Representatives before we get into the midterms, is to actually focus on listening to people, getting out there, talking to them, hearing their stories, and they are focused on the price of gas, the price of milk, on things that are going to really affect them going forward. And that's what these elections are going to be about. And if Republicans can't get past dealing with, first it was, are we going to get to 6 million? Are we going to get to 7 million? Now we're at 8 million. Now it's like, well, how many have paid? If we stop focusing on all these little things that people really aren't concerned about in their daily lives, then the Republicans are also going to be in trouble in November.